Good afternoon, chemistry class. Today we're going to continue talking about acids and bases. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about something called neutralization reactions. And that is when an acid combines with a base to form two things, a salt and water. And this is, if we go way back, it's an example of a double replacement reaction. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. So I'm going to start off with an example of an acid, hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide. Now, in this case, I want you to look at the hydrogen and the hydroxide. And remember, in a double replacement reaction, the positive ions sort of trade places and the negative ions sort of trade places. So that's why I wrote DR here, to remind me that this is a double replacement reaction, just to remind you again. So what's going to happen is you're going to get this positive ion, the sodium, combining with this negative ion, chloride, and you get a salt that you're all familiar with, sodium chloride. And then when you combine the hydrogen with the hydroxide, you get hydrogen hydroxide. What's hydrogen hydroxide? Look at it for a minute. It's H2O. So I could have written H2O, but this time I wrote HOH. It's the same thing. So let's try another one. Let's try sulfuric acid. H2SO4. Come on now. And we're going to combine that with calcium hydroxide. So, once again, we're going to take the positive ion over here, combine it with a negative ion over here, and we get calcium sulfate. Calcium's a 2+, sulfate is a 2-, so it's just CaSO4, calcium sulfate. And you get the hydrogen combining with the hydroxide, and you get water. So that would be an example of, two examples of neutralization reaction. And remember, acids start with an H, have a hydrogen ion in them. Acid, the base, hydroxide ion, OH-, and you end up with a salt, and water. Whoops. Okay. So just another thing to talk about is to remind you what a salt is. We haven't talked much about, everybody knows what salt is on the table, salt and pepper salt, but not all salt is sodium chloride. There are many, many, many thousands of salts, at least hundreds of them. And remember, salt is an ionic compound that's made up of a positive ion and a negative ion. And usually salts are, the positive ion is a metal, and the negative ion is a non-metal. And it could easily be a polyatomic ion. So some examples would be, obviously we went sodium chloride. We could take magnesium chloride, MgCl2, potassium fluoride, nickel sulfate, calcium carbonate, and so on. So we have metal, non-metal, metal, non-metal, metal, non-metal, metal, non-metal in this case, polyatomic ion, same thing here. So that's what a salt is. So salt, just remember, salt isn't just sodium chloride, it's a lot of different things. So just to review that one more time, neutralization reaction, acid plus base gives you a salt and water. And one thing that's fascinating about this example is you take something like hydrochloric acid, which is a really strong acid, and you take something like this that's a really strong base. Either of those would cause damage to your skin if they were by themselves. But once you combine them, you just get salt water. That's the example of neutralization. Thank you for being here, guys. See you next time.